If you don't believe social media is detrimental to your mental health and makes you compare yourself to all these other people online, listen to this. Also, I have pink eye, so ignore. I work in influencer marketing, so a lot of my job depends on sourcing and finding influencers to work with the brands that hire us. On my own social channels, I don't follow a lot of like cool girls just because like, I don't know, I love to travel, so most of my feed is filled with travel influencers. But right now we are sourcing that like cool girl look, and I'm sitting here starting to like feel bad about myself and judge my life versus their life and think I'm not skinny enough, I don't have a good routine, like I'm not doing anything with my life. I'm sitting here working my corporate 9 to 5 while they're out like doing cool stuff, influencing. And I feel like you don't really like think about the impact that scrolling every day on social media has on your mental health. Like, I think people know that exists, but like, I don't know, I feel like I'm like a case study of like, I don't do this and I'm doing it now and I'm just feeling bad about myself. That is also why I don't follow any of the Kardashians, because I literally used to like compare myself to their bodies, which is so unrealistic. So I unfollowed them and I've been fine with all that. So anyways, I guess let this be your sign. Like, if you're exiting social media feeling worse than you did when you started to go onto social media for that moment, remove them, delete them, take a break, whatever.
Is anybody else depressed about the state of social media and like how we've gotten to this point? I'm a baby millennial, okay? And I was on MySpace, on Facebook, on Instagram. I got on TikTok like maybe 4 years ago. My younger sister was like, no, you need to get it. You'll love it. And I started posting on TikTok, and I had an old page, and I had these amazing, beautiful discussions and relationships with people who I've become like real life friends with. Even when I started this page, I developed some really awesome relationships with people, had some really awesome discussions. Yeah, admittedly, you know, I'm gonna come on here and talk shit about men because it's funny, but over the last like 6 months, the hate comments have gotten out of control. And the funny thing to me, it's like, how do these videos even pop up on these people's For You pages? And it's because they continuously comment negative shit on videos that make them mad, so they continuously see more and more of that. I rarely come across any videos that make me upset on TikTok, because if I see something that you're saying that I don't like, scroll past. Misery loves company, you know? And I just feel like so much, like people are just gonna find anything negative to talk about. My girlfriend has this beautiful page about this house reno that she's doing in Sicily, and people are just so hell-bent on being negative and disgusting. Like they just say stupid things. The internet has truly just rotted people from the inside out. And I don't think that it's even made people bad. I think that just like money, the internet is going to amplify the parts of you, the core of who you are, the good and the bad. So if you are an inherently asshole, miserable person, that's going to come out. That's going to be amplified. And if you're a good person, you know, that'll be amplified as well. And like, again, my content is for women. My content has never been for men. And I've taken down so many videos. I have blocked so many people. And I'm just like at the point that I don't even want to post on here anymore.
Social media and social comparison. Why is that actually harmful to us? If you're new to my channel, I'm Rachel, the neuroscientist. So we collectively acknowledge that social media has ushered in an era of social comparison on a grand scale. And we collectively acknowledge that it doesn't feel good, it's harmful to us. What I see less often is a real dissection of how and why. And I think that's important because simply understanding the machine takes some of the power away from it. So premise number one, you've got to understand that we humans are incurably social. All of our cognition is wrapped around our social evolution. We want and need to be accepted by other human beings because throughout evolution, if you were exiled from the group, you were toast. Premise number two is that human value and social value is not quantifiable. It can be. Sometimes what you bring to the group is delicious mammoth stew. Sometimes what you bring is love and light. And anybody who loves somebody who has high support needs or debilitating intellectual disabilities will tell you that they have value. They bring light to their lives. That's social value. It's intangible and non-quantifiable. However, Thanks to the Industrial Revolution, we're now led to believe that human value is quantifiable across a range of metrics, most of which slot under the broad umbrella of productivity. You're not supposed to be able to compare one human's value to another human's value. Those are intangible, abstract things that you're not supposed to be able to directly compare, but now we can. It's also important to remember that social media is effectively a marketplace masquerading as a social space. So we're being heavily influenced implicitly, unconsciously, by what we're perceiving as social cues that have actually been commercially colonized. It's an unwinnable race because that is how it's got to be to support perpetual growth in a capitalist structure. So every time you open your phone and you see something on social media that makes you feel small or not enough, or like you're not doing enough, or you're not productive enough, or whatever, I want you to remind yourself that it is a marketplace. And I want you to remind yourself that human worth is not quantifiable just because you're being told it is by people who want your money. And more than anything, I want you to remember that when you go to a party and you meet somebody that you don't know, do you care at all how many steps they walk per day? How many trophies they have in their cabinet? In fact, like, people who lead with that tend to be a bit insufferable. All you care about is if you can have a laugh with that person. Do they bring some delight to you? Are they kind? Like, are they nice to be around? That is all you care about. That is social value. That's it. And you don't even have to be liked by everybody. Just a few people. That's it. You've got social value. And you have inherent value simply by being a human being. Try to remember that.
I cannot stop thinking about how the other day I was in Target and I was in the beauty section, per usual, and there was this mom with like this little girl that was probably like about 8 or 9 years old max, and the mom was like, oh, like, what are you looking for, like, blah 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 blah, and she's like, Mom, like, I'm looking for like those little things that like you put under your eyes and then like you take them off and they make your eyes look better and brighter. And I was like, there's no way that there is literally like an 8-9-year-old girl looking for under eye patches to like make your under eyes look better. Like, girl, you are literally 8, 9, like, you do not need that. And it just goes back to how like screwed up social media has honestly made everything, especially for our youth. And like these little girls, like, they're like, what? And this is not to blame like that little girl, because like obviously she doesn't like know, but I was just thinking about how like if I was that age, I know damn well my mom would have been like, you do not need that shit, like, put that shit back, because she would always do that. Like, I would be like, oh, like, Mom, like, what is this, or like, what is that? And she'd be like, you literally don't need that, like, you're too young. But like this mom was like, okay, like, let's go look for it. Like, what?
My controversial but most humble opinion, social media has ruined relationships not because of porn, not because of micro-cheating, but because of overanalyzation. We have picked apart every single aspect there is to being in a relationship and expected not to have some sort of negative outcome as a result of that. It is a very well-known fact that human consciousness is both a gift and a curse, depending on how one chooses to use it. And people choose to believe some random person on the screen who they've known for 15 seconds rather than their partner who they've known for an extended period of time. How crazy is that?
So I have a theory about why social media has ruined humanity, and the theory is normal people don't post. And what I mean by that is not that people who post on social media are weird. I mean that they're not your normal everyday person. So either they are talented, they're an academic, they have something they want to say. And the problem, though, is that people who watch social media, engage with social media, think that they're watching a normal cross-section of humanity. And so two things happen. The first is that they feel really inadequate because people who have immense talent and want to, earn attention for their talents are going to post on social media, and it will make you feel, oh, I don't have that kind of talent, I'm worthless, which is not true. And the second problem is people who used to just like post letters to the editor and like crappy self-made newsletters are now able to post their weird conspiracy theory opinions on every single platform possible. And because we forget that this is a self-selecting group of people posting on here, we think that, having these opinions is normal, and they're not. So I think it's just really important to remember when you're on this app that whatever you see here, the people who post here posting is not normal. There's a whole bunch of people who just never post on here, have perfectly normal opinions, but we don't hear from them anymore. So we have such a skewed view of like how the world works because of that. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
Does anyone else think about how you could be so much further in life if you didn't have a social media addiction? Like, imagine social media just wasn't a thing anymore. Like, TikTok wasn't a thing, and we didn't scroll on our phones for like 9 hours a day. Like, what could I have been by now? I waste so much time scrolling on my phone every single day. That is like a big chunk of my day on my phone that I could have been using to grow myself, like to have some sort of growth in my life. And I'm not saying that I don't have any growth in my life. Like, I definitely do, but I feel like it has been stunted. I feel like my potential has been stunted by the fact that I literally have an addiction to my phone. Like,
there is going to be some crazy damage done to the average human mind within the next 10 years because of social media, and more specifically just technology in general. And here's how I think it's going to play out. So first of all, we can all agree on the fact that every single day the amount of content creators is increasing at an increasing rate. You know why? Look at all the incentives. Every single app has found a way to allow you to monetize the content you produce. So this just reinforces the mass production of content. But that's not the bad part. The bad part is when it gets paired with AI and an algorithm that knows you inside and out. Because when the algorithm knows you exactly, it will feed you exactly what you want. It feeds you things that keep you engaged, that keep you on the app more. And so the fact that more and more people are creating content, it means that there are going to be more accounts, more videos that are very niched, that are very specific. Like, somebody could make content on knitting, or reviewing caffeinated drinks, or learning how to be confident. And the exact type of videos that you engage with and you watch for a long enough time, the algorithm remembers that and it feeds you more of that content. Since the algorithm knows you inside and out, it's going to do whatever it can to keep you on the app longer, because that's how they profit. They profit off your attention, and more specifically, whenever you're a mindless, passive consumer. That's why people can doom scroll for hours, and subsequently they're just feeding the algorithm more information that gives them insight into who their identity and who their character actually is. Like, look at it this way. Let's say there's 2 ice cream shops. The first shop only has 3 flavors. The second shop has 100 flavors. When you go into the first ice cream shop with 3 flavors, the chances of you finding a flavor that is exactly what you want are pretty low. But when you go into the second ice cream shop with 100 flavors, the chances of you finding something that exactly satisfies your craving skyrockets. And that's exactly what's going on with social media nowadays. It's not just YouTube vloggers and people reviewing stuff. It's people making content on literally anything possible. And all that does is it makes it harder for you to get off the app. And that's a serious problem that I see. I've lived it myself. I went through a phase in my life where all I did was go on my phone. It absolutely sucks the agency out of you. And more importantly, it severely dulls your spiritual sensitivity. Because if the devil can't directly take you down, he's going to do whatever he can to fill you with noise and distraction so you cannot hear the voice of the Lord. And we're already seeing the early stages of this play out. We're seeing the consequences. I mean, do you ever think about why people are socially awkward nowadays? Or why the amount of mental problems is going through the roof? Or why people lack purpose? It's because people are being overwhelmed by how identity specific all of this content is becoming. So the point I'm trying to make is that when the amount of content creators is growing, and when that is paired with an algorithm that knows you specifically, it just causes people to live less. It completely sucks you out of the real world. And the problem with that is that you forget how to learn and extract wisdom from the variety of experiences in the real world. You want to know how you live in the real world? You understand that it is a privilege to feel. It is a privilege to feel completely fatigued after a workout. It is a privilege to feel a little awkward after a social interaction. It is a privilege to engage your mind in a hobby or a task or something you're passionate about. It is a privilege to use your mind to experience a human level of friction and to create from within instead of relying on some external artificial source of dopamine. So in the upcoming years, I see the biggest problem in the world being the fact that people just forget how to live. And that's kind of the whole premise of what I'm sharing on here. Like, I don't care about teaching people how to make a ton of money or be confident. I don't care about any of that stuff. All I care about is living how God wants us to live. Because we don't need more drop shippers. We don't. We need more people who are self-aware and those who can navigate the human experience. We need more people who are willing to reclaim their inner signal so that they can create and live from within instead of relying on the worldly pleasures. Because when you rely on the worldly pleasures, we all know how that turns out.
Subconsciously or consciously, I was feeling like when I was consuming a lot of social media, I started feeling really bad about myself. And then in therapy, we talked about how I was kind of comparing myself, whether I didn't know it or not. And why I'm sharing this is because I feel like a lot of this comparison is subconscious. It's a good reminder for me because I really want to be strict about what content I consume, who I'm watching, and then how much I'm watching, because whether I know it or not, that is having an influence over my thoughts and creating more negative thoughts. If you're just struggling in general or feeling down or depressed or feeling a lot of comparison, it's probably a good time to take a break off of social media or really rein in your consumption and think more about who you're watching.
The other day I was having a conversation with someone about social media and really about how it's changed over the years from early Facebook days to now where we have Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all of this. It's genuinely so sad to see what's happened because in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone with this, social media has become the biggest contradictory force that we're dealing with. And I think it honestly started out as something quite innocent and a lot of people could get on board with. It was just quite harmless. We didn't spend too much time on it, but now it is so integral to our everyday life. But it's such a contradiction. Yes, it brings with it new opportunities to meet new people, but inorganically and in a very weird way that you probably wouldn't experience in everyday life. There's no real space. Even when we're at home, we're just checking and seeing what other people are doing. Someone can post whatever they want. It doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be now. It can be edited. It can be distorted in any way to line up with what they want. So really, we're ingesting this false narrative all the time and then taking it and comparing it to our own lives. I think it should be pretty obvious why there are higher levels of depression and anxiety than ever before. I think there genuinely is something to be said for social media in causing this. Now, I'm not knocking it completely. Social media can bring great opportunities. It's great for learning. It's great for meeting new people. And there's a lot of positive influence on there too. The takeaway is this. Social media has actually made us more antisocial than ever before. Not only that, but people have the ability to create whatever life they want on social media. And this can make people worried about their own lives that they're living. And the person they're looking at, they're not even living that life. I would say try and limit your time on it. And also just try and follow people that make you feel good, that you know are not just bullshitting you about some life that they don't live. Social media, you only really see the ups. You rarely see people post about the downs. I've made a free guide on how to be happy. The link is in my bio. Follow me for more advice.
If you've seen Google's new AI video model all over the internet, then you might not be surprised to hear that when I first saw it for the first time, I cried. This is my actual real reaction to seeing VO3 for the first time. Oh my God. We are not talking enough about how these tools are going to start altering our perceptions of reality. And the thing that I think most people miss here, including tech executives, is that the issue is not actually the AI. The issue is AI plus social media. Letting what are effectively deepfakes loose at scale on the unregulated arena of the social internet is an obvious recipe for a distortion of reality. We can't just say we're building AI video tools to help Hollywood make videos for cheap. That's ridiculous. So I'm starting a series on the implications of AI video in social media. What new things might start popping up, and how can we all prepare? It won't be all doomsday, but it also won't be all hype. And I genuinely believe that this is one of the most important things that people online should be informing themselves about today. So if that's